boy, time now for another amazing episode of Mr. Nailsin's Sunday Comics. Because it's comic books I'm going to read, and it's, Sunday. Well, now we're going to learn some science. That's right, you're going to learn something. I think it's just going to be all entertainment, and spaceships, and superheroes, and gangsters, and all that. No! You're going to learn the wonders of science in pictures from Science Comics number 2. I did number 1 years ago. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Probably should look that up somewhere. But anyway, how museum pieces are assembled. Oh, well, if you ever wondered, we're going to find out. The fascinating story of ant civilization. Wow. Look, they build these ant hills, and then they live in there. How energy makes things go. Oh, boy. We're going to learn how that works with this dynamo, I guess. Anyway, radar. It sees the invisible. Amazing. How does it do that? Well, maybe we'll find out. Finally, Dr. Walter Reed's fight against yellow fever. The other fevers, that's going to have to be someone else's job. But this one he fought against. That's right. Yeah. Oh, look, it's Bambi and the family. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, anyway, how museum groups are assembled. Years ago, museums acquired animals, had a taxidermist stuff them, and put them on public view. Today, all that has changed, and the modern museums combine science with sculpture and painting to achieve the realistic effects you see in the habitat groups. Here is how it is done, from start to finish. That's probably the best way to show it. So it's just a little assemblage of stuff. It's not a real cat getting ready to kill these deer. No. These are, reasonable facsimiles thereof. Anyway, the museum expedition arrives at its destination, the Rocky Mountains. We've got everything set up. Now let's get that panther we've heard is such a wonderful specimen. Where do we have the measurement charts, calipers, watercolor outfits, bags for the shrubbery? Good. Then let's move. This looks like a lot more work. I thought they would just be in the museum putting stuff together. They're out in the woods. Several hours later, shh. Here a fresh panther print. He's near here somewhere. Everyone down, he's seen something over. Since these expedition leaders are expert big game hunters, they stalk the game with all the cunning of man against beast. Because he's a man, and the animal is the beast. There he is, a perfect target. Funny, that's what he's thinking about that deer. Ah. Huh? He finally got wind of me, because I farted. But it's too late for him now. Wow! Got him! And not any too soon either. Oh, poor kitty. Good shot, Chief. Now it's my turn to go to work with the calipers. Ready, Richard? All set, Cal. Give me the measurements. Every dimension of the beast is carefully measured and recorded on the special record sheets, after which the hide is carefully removed from the animal. Oh, that's all you gotta do. Meantime, the artist of the expedition records in watercolors the true background colors of the setting, while another photographs the scene, which probably gives you a more accurate, representation of what's actually there, because, well, it's an actual photograph of it rather than some guy painting it, even if he's really good at it. Still, another member is responsible for gathering typical foliage.
This here leaf looks rather typical to me. Oh, well, I'll put it in the bag with the others.
Actual rocks are also removed from the scene as a future guide.
Here we go. Wait, that's not a rock. It's a fossilized turd. All set, and I'm sure glad we only need a few key bones to reconstruct the panther. Otherwise, we'd need a truck to carry everything.
So they just leave most of the carcass behind, except for the skin, of course. Anyway, later, after the expedition returns to the museum,
I've almost finished this small clay model of the panther.
This model is of a mule deer is already finished, Doctor.
Now our problem is to get an interesting grouping of this set. Think that does it. We'll have the staff approve it, and then we'll start to work on the full-scale group. Yeah.
I think this is excellent, but I would suggest moving this rock slightly to the left in the finished model.
And that's why he gets paid the big bucks. He comes in and says, "Hey, move that rock over there." With the small model set approved by the curator and the staff, the sculptors, artists, designers, and others begin their work on the full-scale set. This guy's just watching the others do, that. Carpenters are set to work building the stage. This certainly looks pretty crude right now. Yes, but we've got the basic measurements just as they're called for. And who's who? This looks like nothing but fine mesh chicken wire to me. It's just about the same as that, but it's been found to serve our purpose best. Once we get this thin layer plaster over the wire, our job is about done. How come these stages aren't more solid? There's an awful lot of give to this setting. That's the idea of it. This semi-flexible construction withstands the vibrations of winds and the rumble of the city traffic the best. This doesn't look too real to me, but we're up too close to it. Wait until we get it hung and step back. I guess you're right. It sure looks like trees, all right. If you say so, I don't know. Yeah, in the prop room.
I think we've about completed all the foliage called for in the sketches and diagrams. Check it, will you?
I already have checked, and we're finished with our artificial leaves and rocks and plants. Remember, all these flowers and things have to be placed exactly as shown in the final sketches they gave us.
I feel like Hercules lugging all these rocks around. Good thing they're only made of paper mache.
Placing each rock, flower, and twig in the exact position shown on their sketches, these girls work slowly to achieve a realistic effect. After all is finished,
that's the end of our job, and I can almost see the deer and panther coming along somewhere.
It won't be long until they do, idiot. The taxidermist department is completing the specimens now. The taxidermy department works from the original panther's skull. I mean, the panther don't need it anymore, so why not? One rear leg and one front leg, shaping the rest of the animal's bones from wire.
Next, using the exact measurements of the original beast as well as photographs, the animal is modeled in clay and a plastic cast is then formed, over which the animal's hide will be fitted.
Blip, blip, blip. All our measurements have been checked and rechecked. This hide should fit on our model as well as it did on the panther. All finished. Now to set these animals in their correct places.
Gives me the creeps to lug these around. They look too real.
Well, I wouldn't want to be that deer. Look at that panther. I wouldn't even want to be the panther. He's dead now.
That's right, little girl. He's dead. He was shot in the heart.
From the time the expedition left to acquire the specimens until the set is finally completed at the museum, often as long as 2 years elapse. But the result is a tribute to modern science and the teamwork of a number of skilled technicians of natural science.
End. Well, there we go. We learned a lot, didn't we? That's right. You go in there, you look at the stuff they put together, but just think of all the work. Plus the animals who died and gave up their hides for you and I guess your kids to come in and look at it. Yeah. Radar. It sees the invisible. Oh, that's nice. Basically, radar acts on the same principle as a voice echo. Hello! The sound waves bounce off the canyon wall and carry back to the sender. Since sound travels 1,087 feet per second, it is possible to determine the distance between the person and the canyon wall by timing the echo. Hello! Yep. 1,087. This is a diagram of a typical land-based radar unit showing the main parts. Let's see, it's, oh God, I just can't read all that. I'm so tired and bored to death, but you get the idea.
The transmitter sends out short bursts of radio waves. By turning the antenna in different directions, we can, quote-unquote, cover the sky. We call this scanning. Look at the sky. But a second ago, you said it covered it. Shut up. If the waves strike a plane, they'll bounce off, spread out in all directions, and our receiver right here in the unit will pick them up again. Now we'll try it out.
8 miles away, the radio waves traveling with the speed of light. 886,000 miles per second. Strike a plane invisible to the radar crew and start to bounce back. That's the sound it makes.
The crew manning the unit has picked up the echo, and the machine automatically records the data we want. Listen as they call out the figures.
Altitude 35,750 feet.
Range 8 miles. Bearing 180 degrees. There are several different types of radar equipment, but all types use the cathode ray tube. This tube is the heart and soul of many electronic devices. This radar unit is installed on a transport plane.
The small round luminous screen is in reality a cathode ray tube.
It transforms the sound wave echoes into visible form, painting a picture or map on the screen for us to look at.
So, what do you see?
In flying through fog or soup, the antenna beneath the plane revolves slowly as we send out radio pulses that strike the ground below in a wide circle.
See? Still makes that noise.
As our receiver picks up the waves bouncing back from the earth, the cathode tube transforms them into a map of the region. The straight line on the screen is a scanner beam, which is synchronized and rotates with the rotating antenna beneath our ship. See? That's what it's doing. The dot in the exact center of the screen represents the position of the plane. Range is calculated by the distance of the pips or blobs, which indicate buildings, rivers, mountains, etc., from the centered dot. The radar, the operator now has a luminous map of the ground below.
Yeah, sure, see? That's, you are here. There you go. It's all solved. It's just that simple.
In peacetime, radar will be used almost exclusively to navigate planes and ships safely through darkness or fog. Here's how it is done. This soup is so thick I can't see anything more than a few feet in front of us.
If we're even a couple of degrees off our course, we may be heading for that high mountain range. Better use our radar.
I just assumed you were using it all along. That's, how do you turn this thing on?
The plane's radar unit sends out short bursts of radio waves which strike the mountain range dead ahead of the oncoming ship.
Holy crap, we're gonna hit. No.
The waves return to the plane, which is sending out another short burst, and the blob representing the mountain is recorded on the screen on the set.
Oh, pull up.
Warned of the mountain peak, the plane changes course and climbs to avoid a collision. Thus, radar, which was used during the war to bomb obscured enemy targets, is now an invaluable aid in the saving of human lives.
Yeah, it's probably important. Oh, that's the end of that. So, I hope you learned there something. I don't know. And now it's time for ant civilization. Let's see how they live. Wow, up close they look kind of cute, don't they? Oh, look at that. They got the little Mickey Mouse gloves. They have rifles and helmets. Wow. Because they're the soldier ants, you know.
Although the anthropoid apes are nearest to human beings in bodily structure, the ants are probably next to human beings in the scale of intelligence. For a tour through a typical ant community, let us imagine that in some magic way, you are reduced in size to about 5/16 of an inch in height, or to the size of an average ant. And since magic powers are involved, let us suppose, too, that the ants are dressed like human beings and can speak our language. Here's what we would see. So you're not really going to learn a whole lot, because this is all based absolutely entirely on nonsense.
This doesn't look so good. Those guards look like they mean business.
No strangers allowed here.
But all I want to do is see how you ants organize your community.
Nothing doing. You might be a scout for the red ants, and they're our deadly enemies.
It's all right, men. Our friend here made special arrangements with Science Comics to pay us a visit. You see, these are the guard ants who protect our home. They are guards from the time they are old enough to carry a musket until they die.
What is that map you have there?
I brought this along to show you the inside of our nest. Then, as we go through, you'll have a clearer idea of its construction.
Cross-section of typical ant nest. Nursery. Main chamber, where the television and bars are. Entrance, where you get in, of course. And the Queen's chamber. Only her most favorite get to go there. Yes.
I'll take you first to the nursery, where the baby ants are born.
I'd like to know how many different kinds of ants there are in the world. Do you know?
Just like you human beings with the white, yellow, red, and black races, we ants have three main races, or families. They are the Formicidae, the
Poneridae,
and the Myrmicidae, I think. Look, I don't know. I flunked out of high school.
Only three main families. I thought there were more.
No, yeah, you're probably thinking of species of ants. There are over 1,000 species of us, but only three main families. And there's others we just don't talk about anymore, Here we are at the nursery. Of course, you know that the queen ant lays the eggs, and they are hatched here by the nurses.
How long do you ants live anyhow?
Well, if you humans don't step on us, it's hard to tell. Some species live for several months, and others for several years. In fact, one of you human being scientists kept an ant queen once in his laboratory for over 15 years. So you see, it all depends on which of the 1,000 species we happen to be.
What did he keep her in there for?
We don't talk about it.
What's going on over there? It looks like some repair work.
Well, that's what it is. Those are our carpenters and builders. They work all their lives building and repairing our nest.
Do you mean that nurses remain nurses all their lives? Carpenters are always carpenters? Guards are always guards as long as they live?
Sure. They make a career out of their special work, just like you people are doctors and nurses and carpenters. Okay, we must be very quiet here. The queen is entering this room.
Does she live all by herself in there?
Certainly. If any of the other ants bothered her, they'd be executed. We have to protect her, just like you protect your presidents and prime ministers and kings.
Well, yeah, but just for looking at them, they don't get killed just for that.
Yeah, well, we got a different system.
In that case, we'd better not stay here too long. She might get angry with us. Can you imagine a human being executed by ants?
It's been one of my lifelong dreams. What? Nothing. That's not so funny. In Africa, there is a species of red ants that travels in armies of millions. If human beings are trapped by them, the ants devour them.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Well, anyway, that was very interesting. But is that all there is to see?
Oh, no, I'm going to show you some more things about us. Come over this way.
What in the world's going on? Those ants look like they're farming.
You couldn't be closer to the truth because that's what they're doing.
What? No, man. What kind of stuff do you raise? And what do you call those farmers?
Those are called, farmers, or agricultural ants, and they raise all kinds of delicious grasses and herbs. Makes mighty fine eating.
He's using this beetle as an ox? That's not what they do. They just eat them.
Well, look out for your life. Look at that beetle.
No, that's nothing to worry about. We tamed him to help us do our work. His claws and jaws keep the furrows nice and clean and deep.
That's amazing.
Why? You people tame horses, don't you? Besides, some ant species even make slaves of other ants they capture. That's great. It works just perfect, you know. But we don't believe in slave labor in our community, so we just call it something else.
That sounds like an alarm of some kind. What's happening?
I'm not sure yet. Maybe we're going to be invaded by the red ants across the field. No, it can't be an invasion. Our soldier ants aren't rushing out to meet it.
So you even have soldiers to fight battles for you?
That's what the trouble's all about. A deserter.
A deserter? You mean he's trying to leave your community? What happens if he gets away? No other ant communities will let him in, will they?
No! That's what makes his actions so silly. But he won't get away. Our guards will catch him and drag him back. There! They caught him.
Oh, there! What will they do with him now?
It all depends on his record. If this is his first attempt to desert, he won't be punished. But if he's got a record, we'll probably have to kill him. This disc. I'll have to go in now and sit on the board of inquiry. Will you excuse me?
Certainly, and thanks for showing me around.
Think nothing of it. Naturally, I couldn't show you everything, because if I did, I'd have to kill you in such a short trip. But I think you know something about us now.
I certainly do, and I think the scientists are right when they say that you ants have great intelligence and a wonderful social life. So long. And so he went off to become a communist. Yeah, that's what the ants taught him, you know. Oh, well. What are you going to do? No, really, what are you going to do? How energy makes things go, like trains and cars, you know, stuff like that. Everything that moves in any manner at all uses energy. Therefore, there are many kinds of energy on our Earth. All energy comes originally from the sun. For if the sun ceased shining, everything in our world would die. Here are a few of the ways human beings make use of some of the forms of energy. Pretty hot today. Look at those heat waves. That's visible proof that energy comes from the sun. It comes to the earth in the form of sunlight and leaks off in the form of heat waves. How come we don't capture sunlight and use it? There's enough of it. Sure, there's every day the sun gives off about 200,000 times more energy than we need to run everything on Earth. But we haven't learned to harness it directly. We have to use it in different forms. Look here. Take that waterfall over there by the power plant. When we make use of falling water to turn mill wheels or dynamos, we are using one form of mechanical energy. How do you figure energy comes from the sun? The sun evaporates steam from the surface of the ocean or lake or river and draws it into the clouds. Then when it rains, we can capture this energy just as that power plant is doing. So that's mechanical energy. How does it run a dynamo? Come on in, and I'll show you. This is a good example of how men turn mechanical energy into another form. Electrical energy! These happen to be direct current dynamos, which means that they're machines which convert mechanical energy direct to electrical energy. Just how is that done? I don't get it. It's not hard to understand. Here, I'll draw you a sketch of a dynamo.
Sketch a cross-section of a simple direct current dynamo. North pole, south pole, armature winding. Commutator rushes. Fine, but what is a commutator? That is what the mechanical energy of the falling water turns around to run the dynamo. Oh, look there. Yeah. You mean the commutator turns the armature, which is inside the steel casing? That's right. The armature refers to copper wire wound around a piece of iron that revolves between the magnets and excites or produces electricity, which the wires carry off. Well, that explains mechanical energy and electrical energy as well as how a dynamo works. But what happens after the electricity is carried out of here over wire? Is he saying? I don't know. There are the wires that carry the electrical energy into our homes. They'll all drive you home. And we'll see what happens.
Oh, God, we're going to go all the way home with him. Incidentally, what kind of energy runs this car?
That's an example of chemical energy. While we're driving, I'll explain it to you.
Pose. You know, if you apply a match to gas on line, there's going to be ether and explosion and fire. And that's what happens in the engine of a car.
But a way section showing details of an engine cylinder. Flee. You see, gasoline from the tank is fed slowly into the cylinder of the engine. There, the spark from the spark plug ignites the gasoline. The air and burned gasoline vapors push the pistons down inside the cylinders, and the pistons push some gears, and the gears turn the wheels. Well, we've covered chemical energy, I guess. What's next? Now I'll show you what the electrical energy from the powerhouse does when wired into a house. All we have to do to turn electrical energy into something else is to snap the switch on this lamp. What have we got now? We have two forms of energy now. First, the electrical energy flowing through the filament of the bulb is converted into heat energy. The filaments or wires in the bulb are so sensitive that they break into flame immediately. You mean to tell me they're flaming? Oh, yeah. In other words, the bulb lights up. I get it. That changes the heat energy into light energy. Light as loafers. Right you are. And remember, it all started with simple mechanical energy of the waterfall. And I guess that was started by the sun drawing water into the clouds. I guess that proves that all energy comes from the sun after all. In addition to mechanical, electrical, chemical, heat, and light energy, there are many other forms. Scientists are constantly learning to change energy from one form to another. The most recent example was the atomic bomb. See Science Comics #1, which was the first successful use of atomic energy. We'd better leave these two alone now. Yeah. Home science experiments with inertia. Everything in the world has a tendency to 1, remain motionless, or 2, if it happens to be moving, to keep on moving. To set a motionless object, moving force must be applied in some way. To stop a moving object, we must also use force. This tendency of all things to keep on in a state of rest or motion is called inertia. Here are some experiments you can do to prove the point.
I really don't need you to do that. I kind of get it. But place a playing card on a glass on top of the playing card. Put a small coin as close to the center of the card as possible. Now, with your finger, flick the card off the glass by striking the edge of the card. The card flies off, but the nickel drops into the glass. Power was applied to the card, but the coin, reacting to gravity, only did not follow the card off the glass. Yeah, this is really kind of... Stack some identical coins on a table. Make sure they are piled as perfectly as possible upon each other. Then strike the bottom one with the cutting edge of a common table knife, using a fast sidewise motion of the rest. The bottom coin will scoot out from underneath the pile, and the rest of the coins will remain perfectly stacked. Inertia is at work. Again. Now place a ball on a roller skate so that the heel rest keeps it from rolling off when you push the skate. Remember, power applied to the skate alone will leave the ball behind. Now push the skate and the ball towards a solid object on the floor. When the skate strikes the solid object, the power of that object causes it to stop. But the ball, imbued with the energy of motion, keeps on going because no power was applied to it to stop it. Inertia keeps it moving. Well, that's great, you know. Now it's time for Walter Reed, the man who conquered yellow fever. Because he knew that fever was a coward. The year was 1900, and America had just won her war against Spain. But American troops in Cuba were losing more of their men to the dreaded yellow fever than they had lost to Spanish bullets. Something had to be done by, somebody. Enter now Major Walter Reed, USA.
I understand, sir, that I am to go to Cuba at once.
That's right, Major. Over 1/3 of General Wood's staff officers have died of yellow fever, as well as thousands of enlisted men. You've had almost 15 years' experience with the army, and you're a good research man. My orders are, give special attention to questions relating to the cause and prevention of yellow fever. Good luck.
Arriving in Cuba, Reed set up a yellow fever commission.
Captain Carroll with you, Jesse Lazier, and Aristides Agramonte. I think we might find something interesting about this Yellow Jack.
Yellow Jack? I thought we were researching yellow fever.
Just what have you discovered about this disease? Is there any pattern to the way it strikes?
Step over here, sir. I'll show you a map in which we've plotted some cases. This is a section of, Comatos. First it struck on Real Street, then Fake Street, then jumped around the corner to General Lee Street. Isn't it possible that those families are friendly? Perhaps they got it from one another?
That would make the mystery less baffling, but it isn't the case. These families don't know each other at all.
But, okay, well, furthermore, we have been able to find no microbes in any blood samples of the victims. See for yourself.
This is a Dr. Carlos Finlay of Havana, who claims that the disease is caused by a mosquito. But he has no proof. It's merely a theory.
Let's go have a talk with Dr. Finlay. We can't afford to miss any clues, no matter how harebrained they might seem to be.
So the commission called on the theorizing old fool, as people called Dr. Finlay.
Gentlemen, I have given you my reasons for believing that yellow fever is caused by mosquitoes. I shall also give you something else. A middle finger. Here are some small black eggs shaped like cigars, gentlemen. The eggs of the murderous mosquitoes are before you.
Are you sure those are actual eggs and not turds? Lazier, take charge of those. Hatch them and let's put Dr. Finley's theory to a practical test.
Well, several weeks later.
Lazier, your mosquitoes are full grown. It's time to put them to the test.
But, sir, on whom shall we experiment? Everybody knows you can't give yellow fever to animals. Human beings will have to be our guinea pigs.
I know it's risky. Our records show that in some epidemics, 85 out of 100 men die. Almost never do less than 20 die of 100 cases. It must be done. What are we doing? Oh, right, the mosquito eggs.
Well, I should like to be the first volunteer, Major.
Thanks, Agramonte, but you have had the disease once and recovered. You are immune.
You can count on me, sir.
I'm ready to take the bite.
Well, that's funny, but it's actually the mosquito that does the bite. Thank you, gentlemen. If we take the risks first, we shall set an example for others to follow.
You know, I couldn't help but notice you didn't volunteer.
About this time, Major Reed was recalled to Washington temporarily, and he left instructions with Lazier and Carroll to carry out their experiments in secrecy, since they did not have permission to do so from high military authorities. Lazier took his mosquitoes to the hospital at Los Animas, and while Lazier's mosquitoes were collecting blood from the victims, he became Mosquito Man.
A stray mosquito. Let him bite me. He isn't the type that carries yellow fever anyway. But Dr. Lazier was wrong. 5 days later, he was stricken with the yellow fever. Carol, I am dying, but remember, it is entirely possible that the stray mosquito in that ward had bitten a patient before he bit me.
Yes, Lazier, perhaps you're on the right track. When Major Reed comes back, we're going to get to the bottom of this thing. We'll build a model camp and keep all experimental conditions under scientific control. We've got to find out about these mosquitoes once and for all.
Major Reed returned to Cuba with permission from General Wood to erect an experimental station.
Carol, I think it only fitting and proper that we name our new experimental station Camp Lazier.
I'm certainly in favor of that, sir.
Sir, I'm Private Kissinger, and this is John Moran of Ohio. We've come to volunteer our services for the cause of humanity. We're ready to start at any time, sir. It's in the interest of science, too, sir. I hope we succeed.
I am authorized to give you $200 to $300 each for this work. Is that satisfactory? I must warn you that the odds are 1 in 5 that you'll die.
There is one which one am I? Whatever. There's one condition on which we volunteer, sir. That is that we get no compensation for it.
Oh, great. A couple of idiots. Gentlemen, I salute you.
Under perfectly controlled sanitary conditions, Kissinger was put into one of the tents, and mosquitoes laden with blood of yellow fever victims were allowed to feast on the brave soldiers.
Kissinger soon became infected with yellow fever after being bitten 7 times.
You've been a mighty sick boy, soldier, but you'll recover. The danger period is over, and you helped us prove part of our theory.
Only part? Next, a wooden hut was constructed at Camp Lazier.
What's in those boxes, Major?
They're dirty bed sheets, pillows, and clothing from the hospitals, where men died of yellow fever.
You mean they're stained with diarrhea? Great heavens, don't tell me somebody volunteered to live in there and sleep in those foul things.
That's right. Some people believe the disease can be given to others by clothing or personal contact. I claim it can't, but I want to be sure.
Exhaustive tests proved that yellow fever could not be transmitted by personal contact, no matter how filthy the conditions were, as long as no mosquitoes are around to bite the volunteer. One day, a group of Spanish immigrants who had never been exposed to yellow fever arrived at the camp. Now we can try all our theories all at once. We can have them. We can have some in filthy tents with mosquitoes and without mosquitoes, and some in sanitary tents, both with and without mosquitoes. That ought to prove, something. Several weeks later,
Major Reed, sir, our final findings have borne out our greatest hopes.
I've just been going over the records of immigrant cases. How about tent number 7 and its patient? I have no final on it.
Number 7 has been living in a sanitary hut, but with infected mosquitoes. He's got the fever.
Carol, the evidence is all in now. We can tell the world that mosquitoes alone are responsible for yellow fever. Our work is done.
So swamps and other places which harbor mosquitoes were either wiped out or sprayed with insecticides to kill the mosquitoes. Today, the Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. is a memorial to the soldier scientist who, with his brave, unselfish volunteers, ended for all time one of mankind's most dreaded diseases. Well, that's until they banned DDT, which mosquitoes couldn't fight again. I mean, they were just nearly wiped out completely. But then some idiot wrote some bullshit book about it was killing birds or some crap. And so now masses of people die every year from that horrible, horrible disease. Yeah. But they're all in the third world, so I guess all these, people don't really care about them. I don't know. Anyway, science oddities. Where do I start? Physics. An automobile or any other object weighing, for example, 2,500 pounds in London will weigh only 2,497.5 pounds at the equator, but will weigh 2,505 pounds at the North Pole. This is caused by the centrifugal force the Earth builds up as it spins around the sun. Meanwhile, agriculture. See, you just throw seeds in the ground and it works. Salt? By sowing 1,000 pounds of salt per acre of celery seeds, a Midwest farmer has succeeded in growing pre-salted celery stalks that require no further seasoning before eating. Well, not necessarily. Optics. The old saying, seeing is believing, is not true. Your eyes see everything in an upside-down position, but your brain, acting as an interpreter, puts everything back in normal position. Or is it? Perhaps everything we're seeing is upside down. Perhaps it's all an illusion. Well, anyway, I guess geology? Coal trees are found every so often in coal mines. Buried alive millions of years ago, these trees differ from those we see every day in that their roots, trunks, branches, and leaves have been converted by compression and heat into solid coal. Well, that's interesting because when you're bad, you get a lump of coal in your stocking on Christmas, near the Christmas tree. Connection? Coincidence? I don't know. Well, now a word from our sponsor. Boys and girls, here's how I landed a movie contract, if you say so. Ever since I can remember, says Roger Batten of Brownwood, Texas, my ambition was to be a movie star. Now, thanks to Judith Allen's book, How to Get Into the Movies, I have signed a contract with Monogram Pictures for a swell part in the Charles Rogers production, Song of the Open Road. Never heard of it. So there you go. Here's the contract. See, you just signed that. Warner Brothers Pictures. There's your employee statement. What the papers say. Roger Batten is in Florida for filming of Hollywood picture. Wow, he's making the papers. Rogers, thank you to Judith. Hey, Judy, thanks for the gig. So there you go. Wanted boys and girls for the movies. So you can be a star too. All you got to do is send in for this brilliant plan from Judith Allen. And it's just $1. So all you got to do is do that. So here you go. Screen cap this. Send it in. And now you can be a movie star. Oh, no. In 15 minutes a day, you too can be a naked man in leopard print panties. Charles Atlas. Actual photo of the man who holds the title, the most perfectly developed man. So Charles Atlas is going to teach you how to do it. All you got to do is, where's the thing? Okay, so you order Charles Atlas's little pamphlet or book or whatever that teaches you the techniques that you need only do for 15 minutes a day. And suddenly you too can strut around in leopard print panties. It's a dream come true. All right, there you go. That completes our tour of science, courtesy of Science Comics number 2. I'm sure I'll find something else to read for next Sunday's, Nailsin's Sunday You know the show, damn it. I couldn't think of something clever and witty. You got to be clever and have wit. Whatever. See you next time. Well, before I go, I guess I'll take a look at the chat. Yeah. Looks like it's all Alexandria K1S. So Alexandria K1S says, "Hi, Mr. Nailsin." Hi, Alexandria K1S. Alexandria K1S says, "Science." Alexandria K1 says, "Yeah, that quite a hike." Alexander K1 says, "I think he smoked half those leaves." Oh, well, no doubt about that. Alexander K1 says, "That is disturbing, a guy just watching." Yeah, well, typically is. Tweedledee and Tweedledum, please do a horror comic next. Yeah, sure. I got to come up with the genre. Let's see. It's been, I think I already did a crime one. I did a Blue Beetle one. Yeah, all right. I'll look up a horror comic. Love the sound effects. Well, thank you. Yeah, that plane is definitely going to hit. Yeah, but thanks to radar, they can see the invisible. Well, they don't actually see it, but they know it's there anyway. I can't pronounce those words either. Well, that's good to know. At least they have job security, I suppose. Wow, what a fun ant story. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Who knew? I wouldn't follow that guy. What a sketch. Not in the car. Damn you, inertia. Yeah, that is a confounding thing, but what are you going to do? It's there. No freaking way I'm volunteering. Tweedledee and Tweedledum join the army. Yeah, I guess so. Please do a horror comic next time. So there we go. Horror comic next week on Mr. Nailsin's Sunday Comics. Because, I don't know,
What else? I don't know what it would be. I've been going through the titles that were published by Ace Comics. Occasionally when I want to throw in another Blue Beetle, I'll jump around. But for the most part, that's what I've been doing. So these are all published by the same publisher. And I thought, science comics. I don't know what that's. It's going to do these science lessons and stuff. And then I discovered I'd already done the first one. It must have been years ago. And I was like, I still had the art in the folder and everything. Because I used to do it different then. I would cut up the panels and do that. But, oh my God, it takes forever, so I just don't have the time for it. So, but I had done that one. I almost thought, I still got the art. I could just do it again. I guess I could have. But I didn't. That's too bad. Anyway, there's other, horror anthologies and stuff like that. There's, oh crap, I'll have to go and look. It was something about, the Unseen Hand or something. Well, there's Baffling Mysteries. I've done that one, but I think that one has to do more with crime. Oh no, it's all horror and monsters and stuff. So yeah, I've done that one. So, but there's plenty I haven't, so it might be that one. The Beyond, I think, is another one that's supposed to be horror and stuff. Sure looks like it. Yeah, there's an old witch. So, one of those. So, The Beyond, Crime Must Pay, did that one. Ernie, 4 favorites, Fun Time. A lot of these are just really silly, and they would look like they'd be painful to read. I don't know, glamorous romances. Oh, yeah, The Hand of Fate. That's the one I was trying to think of. I did at least 2 of those, I think. Yeah, okay. So there's, wow, a bunch of them are missing. So it's like it starts off with issue 8. So the previous 7, I don't know what happened to those. Okay, yeah, Hand of Fate. So that's another one. So it's like 3 titles. Love at First Sight, Love Experiences, Men Against Crime. I don't think I've ever done that one. Monkey Shines Comics. What's that about? It's a humor comic. But the jokes are going to be terrible. Some of the art's not bad, though. Mr. Risk. It's probably like a secret agent or some crap. Yeah, it's only 1 issue. Oh, no, there's 2 of them. All right. So I might do that one. Yeah, he's like either a secret agent or crime fighter. Penalty, I did that. Real Love, Real Secrets. Scream Comics. There we go. That's probably a horror. No, it's another silly, funny animal thing. Yeah. Boy, what Space Action Super Mystery Comics? That's probably not a horror thing. No, it's superheroes and stuff. Sure, Fire Comics. I don't know. Trapped. That sounds like a horror one. Well, no, it looks like it's crime and stuff. Vicky, probably romance. War Heroes, Web of Mystery. I think that'll be the last one that might be a horror comic. Oh yeah, that's a horror comic. Okay, so that's one I've never done before, I don't think. I'll have to look in the files. So, Baffling Mysteries, The Beyond, Hand of Fate, and then all the way down to Web of Mystery. So that kind of narrows it down. I'll pick one of those. Probably Web of Mystery, because I'm pretty sure I've never read any of those. So that might be what I'll do next Sunday for Mr. Nailsin's Sunday Comics. So, that'll probably, really rule and be cool and all that good stuff, Because it wasn't just Tales from the Crypt, They had a bunch of them that did their own, bent on that. For quite a while. So, there's probably some possibilities there. Yeah, it's fine. So anyway, there we go. You're all caught up for this Sunday Comics. And no super tips. Well, you can't win them all. And that'll do it. And we'll do probably Web of Mystery. I say probably because I don't know. But I'll probably forget all about it and just... Well, hopefully it will be. It's going to be a horror comic. That's in my head now. So that ought to happen. And probably Web of Mystery. Probably. But, that's good enough, huh? I would think so. Yeah. And I do. Well, anyway, let me go ahead and play the theme song, and we'll call it a day. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll do it again soon. Here on, I don't know what this is. No, it's the Doug Nailsin Show. That's right. All the shows are the Doug Nailsin Show. They all have different titles, but the default is the Doug Nailsin Show. Yeah, that's how that works. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for watching. And like I said, we'll do it again sometime soon.